Alabama's oldest law enforcement agency in the state is under scrutiny and possibly headed for changes.
Yeah, in August, Fox 10 News investigative reporter Renee Dials broke the story that some constables have criminal records and no training.
She's here in our studio now with an update on what's being done to correct what some consider a dangerous situation. Renee?
Well, Bob and Lenise, Larry Sheffield's arrest for murder in July put the office of constable in the spotlight. Now, I discovered a number of constables have arrest records here in Mobile County, and I told you about some of their convictions. Part of the problem could be that constables don't have to have any training, and there is no agency or commission that has oversight over these elected law enforcement officers. Any solution to the situation will have to come from Montgomery, and that's where we continue our investigation. Constables under scrutiny.
They are the only law enforcement representatives in Alabama.
The head of the Alabama Peace Officers Standards and Training Commission shook his head as he watched our first investigative story on constables in his Montgomery office recently.
Pleaded guilty to trafficking cocaine that you didn't actually traffic cocaine.
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Alan Benefiel was surprised to learn Mario Yao was still an acting constable for Precinct 34, months after pleading guilty to trafficking cocaine.
If they're convicted felons, that's not who I want looking after my grandkids. I don't want them stopping my family. He's a convicted felon, particularly a drug trafficker.
But Yao made it clear in August he intended to finish out the remaining 2 years on his term despite the felony.
I've also been informed that if you do get a felony offense that you would have to be impeached, because it's not just like you can just be thrown out of office.
But that's exactly what Benefield says should happen.
If you are a law enforcement officer under our responsibility, you automatically vacate office. Alabama law prohibits any convicted felon from being a law enforcement officer, period.
But the constables are not under APOST supervision or oversight. Every other law enforcement officer and deputy in the state, with the exception of sheriffs, must be APOST certified. I asked Benefield about the voluntary training program started by the Mobile County Constables Association this year. According to an email from the association president, the training is taught by APOST certified instructors and is equivalent to APOST requirements.
So we did a quick search in our database of those individuals he said were APOST certified instructors. We don't have them. We don't know who they are. The ones listed were not instructors.
I've tried to contact the president of the Mobile County Constables Association several times to set up an interview to talk about their training program. Now, the association sponsored its first training academy just a few months ago, and one of its students was Mario Yao. Yao told me he skipped the part of the course on firearms. His felony prohibits him from possessing one.
I don't carry one now because I'd just rather do with pepper spray. It's too much shooting that's going on now with law enforcement. It seems like that's the only thing they resort to.
He's an embarrassment to this office, and he doesn't need to be out there representing the office.
Longtime Constable Leo Bullock says voluntary training is not enough. He believes many constables oppose mandatory training because it requires a criminal background check.
The media's done a good job for me on exposing what some constables are. They're not all convicted felons, but they may have something in their background that eliminates them from holding this office.
For example, Yao was arrested for drug trafficking 4 months before he became constable. That pending case would have disqualified him from APOST training.
We will not accept an applicant who has a pending criminal charge or who is on probation for a charge.
Benefield says some misdemeanor convictions could also bar a candidate from training.
Domestic violence being one of those charges.
I think if we're going to keep the office viable, we need to put it to work properly and have set in place standards, training, and the Commission of Oversight.
Bullock says he's working on 3 bills for the next legislative session. One of the bills is similar to the one he tried to get through in 2012.
So I'm going to use the 2012 legislation that he introduced that helps establish that training commission or oversight to police the office as well as set the standards and training.
Bullock says the second bill will have constables elected by House districts instead of voting precincts. There are 88 precincts in Mobile County compared to only 10 House districts. The final bill will designate constables as the process servers for district court.
This will free up sheriff's deputies to tend to the criminal matters and improve response times for their department.
Alabama's next legislative session is March 2nd. Bullock says he hopes to have all of the local delegation on board before then.
I plan to make sure that during the holidays, Christmas holidays, I am able to personally visit with every representative here in Mobile County, as well as every senator, and have their signed-on support.
Bullock says without legislation to bring needed oversight and training to the constables, he sees only one other alternative.
If we don't modernize the office and get a commission to oversight, we need to get rid of it. It's dangerous.
Now, Bullock has already been in contact with some local lawmakers, and now that the midterm elections are over, he hopes to have someone signed on to sponsor those bills. And of course, our investigation is certainly not over, and I'll let you know whenever there are some new developments.
Okay, why is it that some counties have constables and others don't?
Well, there are 67 counties in Alabama, and only about 30 of them have constables. The others, including Baldwin County, did away with the position through legislation. Now, in the counties that do have them, there are supporters who believe the constables could be an asset to law enforcement if they had training and oversight.
That's the important thing.
Yes.
All right, thank you.